Hello, friends. Hello from Mississippi. We are away this weekend. So that for those of you who are watching the video, I don't have my normal setup, but we are here this weekend enjoying. But that does not mean I am not getting in my one video a day for the first 100 days in 2025. Today is day 10. Let's get at it. So today's topic is, should you as an investor do your own paperwork? What I'm referring to is when it comes down to the paperwork, whether it's for your contract, whether it's for your closings, stuff like that. What are my thoughts on that? Look, I come from the creative world. I come from the old school world. That's a lot of where I've learned from. I mean, hell, I attend a class every year that is on the actual paperwork. And the binder is like, 400 pages thick. So there is definitely a train of thought in the real estate world that basically says that folks are wanting to build their own paperwork. So here's my thoughts. When you are new, you absolutely should be using, a third party. You should be using, an attorney to help you, when it comes to your purchase agreement. They absolutely you should do all of your closings with a title company or an attorney, whatever your state uses. Because at the end of the day, you don't know what you don't know. You're not an attorney and you don't understand laws. As you get more advanced, my suggestion remains you should always do your closings with a title company. But when it comes to the paperwork, you can be more of a participant with your paperwork. Even though I help draft my paperwork, I am still bringing it to my attorneys for them to review. Look, Louisiana is weird enough, but I want to make sure that I'm double checking. I did not go to law school. No matter, I mean, I've got like 15 law books in my personal study. That doesn't matter. I'm still making sure that they're checking my work and making sure that I am being compliant. I do not believe people should be doing their own closings, like with the notary. The only time it would make sense is if you are doing something where, number one, you completely understand the risk and you're highly advanced, and it's usually a speed thing. Number two, if the property is worth so little that if you basically gambled away that money and lost it all, you'd be fine. You know, property's worth $5,000. Okay. Those are some of the rare occasions that I think that, it'd call for you using a notary versus an attorney. But at the end of the day, someone who's like, oh, well, I just don't want to pay for the expenses. Okay. You should be very careful dealing with, real estate can be very expensive. And so by gambling with that, I've seen a lot of people do a lot of stupid things over the years. So, like for example, purchase contracts, right? So every state, just about the real estate commissions that govern real estate agents, they've got a state purchase agreement that they facilitate that real estate agents in that state use. Um, you know, there's a level that, hey, you're getting started, use that, right? Like find that for your state, use that. Some people would argue if you're not licensed, you're not supposed to use it. You should figure that part out for yourself in your state. But then at the same time, what you find is a lot of brand new investors go and find a contract off the internet and they download it. And, because someone's like, hey, give me your email and I'll send you my purchase and sale agreement so you can become a wholesaler. I can almost always smell these a mile away when someone brings something to me. I'm here in Louisiana. Well, right now I'm in Mississippi, but I'm from Louisiana. And when someone shows me a purchase agreement for a deal that they're working on, and when it says county, I know that they printed this off the internet. They got this from someone else who's not Louisiana based. Because we don't deal in counties, we have parishes. And so that is a tall tale sign that you didn't get it from someone in Louisiana. Louisiana operates on Napoleonic law. Most states are between civil or common law, and obviously Louisiana is Napoleonic. you should understand that state, like the state that you're doing business in matters. So I would not want to use one contract and do business in every state with that one contract. I would want to have attorneys in different states if I'm doing business in different states, and those attorneys should be familiar with that state. So that's important. You know, there's a level that when you're putting stuff off the internet and you're just filling in the blanks, the purchase date, the seller's name, the buyer's name, the address, the closing date. My Lord, you need to read what you actually have in front of you. There is a story of a guy who, got a contract from someone else, was doing a deal, and he was rushing, and he was like, "Hey, anyone have a contract I can use? I've got a seller who's ready to sell me a deal. It's a sweet deal. It's this apartment complex, and it's a killer deal. It cash flows great. It's mostly got tenants in it, and man, this is going to be a good deal." And they were skipping corners, not dotting their I's, not crossing their T's, and they got a contract from someone else, didn't read what it said, sent to the seller signed it, and everything like that. They go to get ready to close on the property, and they go to walk the property again, and most of the tenants had either started moving out or were in the process of moving out. And the guy was like, "What the heck?" And he goes, well, the seller goes, "Well, the contract said that it had to be delivered vacant at closing. Well, we're getting ready to do this closing, and so I told them all to leave, and I sent all the tenants letters to leave." If you're already tracking with me, in a single family contract, it often says that the house is delivered vacant at closing. This guy who is doing a commercial deal with apartment complex or a tenant occupied deal, it could be a duplex, and that would still be an issue. That if it said, that it would be delivered vacant. You see, if that guy would have just taken the time to read that contract, sit down, slow down in your deal making, and read through it. But instead, what do? People just go to the empty lines. Look, those blank lines in contracts get you in trouble. If you are operating on a contract that all it is fill in the blank, you're going to get yourself in trouble at someday. I believe that you should draft by design. One of the things, as someone who, again, participates in their paperwork, a lot of times what I'll do is I will build something into my paperwork, but then I'll send it to my attorney for review. Not every attorney is going to, bill you for just looking at something. The hardest thing is when you say, "Can you create something from scratch?" That's when they're going to start billing you, right? Because it's going to take them the most effort. But reviewing something is different. But again, laws are going to vary by state. Be very careful with what you're doing. Be very careful for taking things into your own hand. And then also be very careful with who you're trusting. Look, I think this is a video for another day, but a lot of people are depending on transaction coordinators in the creative world to do their paperwork and handle their stuff. And you want to be very careful with that. I personally do not use transaction coordinators, especially in the creative world. But I'm hearing some horror stories when it comes to that. Again, you are ultimately responsible for your deal. So when it comes down to the paperwork, you want to make sure that you are reading through things, that you are asking questions, and when you don't understand something, that you're asking about them, but then ultimately have someone make sure that it is legally correct, right? But you should at the same time understand what you're signing, read what you're signing, and look, I'm always going back. My last closing, my first closing in 2025, which my most recent one was just a few days ago, and I'll have another one in a few days. I added something to my paperwork, and I called my attorney. I said, "Hey, look, I'm adding this," and we talked through it. And it was something that, I had been thinking of for a while because I had heard a story of something. And so a situation had happened. And I said, "Okay, moving forward, I want this to be added in my paperwork." And that was something that I just recently did here in 2025. And so, guys, be very careful. You don't want to just be always cutting corners just to save a buck. It's really important, especially I like going to title companies to do my closings. I like getting title insurance. like all of those things. There's almost never been a case that I can't recall a case where I didn't buy title insurance. Truly, maybe it was when I bought partial interest on some properties, I didn't get it, but if I can buy title insurance, I'm gonna buy it. I've seen one too many cases of where there's been a title insurance claim, and if someone didn't have title insurance, they would have been up a creek. And so, friends, that's my thoughts for today. This one's gonna be probably a little bit of a shorter one, but hopefully this was helpful. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe. I'm doing one video a day that's practical and informative to help you along in your real estate investing journey, and doing it for the first 100 days here in 2025. And if you guys are enjoying these, let me know, and let me know what sticks out to you. Appreciate you guys. Keep tuning in.